Hey, good evening YouTube, or good afternoon. This is going to be a quick one. I'm going to try to get this done before the Green Dragon starts. But a quick video VR to a conversation I had today on one of MainePrepper's videos. And I guess this is a VR to him and his comments in particular. But it had to do with his video on Cliven Bundy and the sovereign citizen movement. And I just wanted to respond to some of his statements and just see kind of get a judge and jury out there. I guess I don't expect everybody to necessarily agree with me, and I hope please steer me in the clear if I'm in the wrong here. But here's my comment I made on his video about Mr. Bundy, or my comments that he made regarding him, what he said, and just the situation of things as far as federal land in the West. And he pretty much laid it out there. The Fed owns the land, have supremacy, and the judge said so, and that's that. And I explained my case here about states' rights and state superiority, equality, so on, and on down. Made a comment about what I think his journey has been. Seems that especially I remember his earlier videos when he first got on YouTube. He talks a lot about WROL, collapsing economy, and things like that, and preparedness, which, what causes those things other than an overreaching federal government. And it seems like he came out of that on this issue. And I guess that's what I try to get at. I guess it could have been, you could consider it rough or harsh in the way I stated it here. But I basically said that, he's accepted 1984, in the book 1984, and everything that happened there. And he took umbrage of that, and I don't have a problem with, people taking issue with what I said. By all means, tell me your thoughts. And he has here. And I said he didn't make a claim, or he didn't he didn't do anything that made himself stand out as a sovereign citizen. He didn't make statements or take any action as a sovereign citizen. He continuously demanded his sheriff take action. That was his primary means from day one, to provide a security for him and his family and the people of the area. And the issue of the land issue, if states cannot take control, then it's not fully a state. So you're saying that the state is at the total control of Nevada, which I would almost agree with you like that, and I think it's unjust and unconstitutional. It should be resisted. Because when I read the Nevada Constitution in my Nevada Constitution class, first thing I noticed was it's basically like Nevada is a federal protectorate, and it should be changed or dealt with. And we can't. The federal government has no authority to hold such land by the Constitution. So we're in a quandary. We're in an unconstitutional quandary land, where you have a gentleman, Cliven Bundy, going to his oppressor, the federal government, to ask permission to use land. And I just didn't think, that's not right. That's like going before your keeper, your prison guard, and asking to be released. It's not going to happen, because they're not working off of any rule of law. They're working off of their own whims. But anyway, that's kind of digressing here. And they are not running out of business, you state. There is no other land. He's surrounded by BLM land, and that's why all his other neighbors, 52 of them, had to go out of business, because they couldn't make a living where they did. Yeah, he could probably move, maybe not in Nevada, because you're forced to pay the king for what he calls his land. And Mr. Bundy had no problem if the BLM was actually contributing to managing the land, but the funds that cattle ranchers and other mining interests and everybody else put into the BLM and agencies like that goes to the federal Leviathan in Washington, D.C., and it gets sucked into unconstitutional programs and suppressing the people, and you're contributing to your own oppression in the long run. And he was going to be put out of business. He would have been out of business years ago if he would have continued to do what BLM asked him, for no other reason than to jump through hoops. So yeah, he would have been out of business, and there is no other place to go, especially in Nevada. He couldn't live on that land and survive without free-ranging public land. And here you say I get personal and insulting, and maybe so. I didn't mean it that way. I meant to state how I've seen your videos in the past as being you're delving into the land of, the economic collapse and WRL and what the potential in the future is, and you come out in this video with supremacy of the federal government and judges dictating what we do, and Clive and Bundy's actions are not justified, and warning others not to support him. So I see a disconnect there with where you started out in your videos and where you're at now with this one. And that's why I said you went into the rabbit hole and you came out into the land of fairies and rainbows, and you're in the federal Leviathan and accepting it and how it's controlled. And you say you despise people who toss that word around, the word statist. Well, what is a statist? Real quick here. This is Merriam-Webster online. Look it up. Statism, advocate of statism, or statist is an advocate of statism. Let's look up the definition of statism. Click on that. Statism. Let's expand this. Concentration of economic controls and planning in the hands of highly centralized government, often extending into government ownership of industry. Are we not there? Do we not have statists controlling our government? Because every day they seek to do that, to centralize more control, to where states have no, and localities have no control over the say of what goes on in their areas. And that's precisely what Mr. Bundy is fighting against. Federal, highly centralized government owning, cattle is an industry, is it not? And they're seeking to control it. And that is statism, and those are statists trying to control that situation. So I think I'm spot on in my description there. And to say, and I don't throw the words around lightly, and they mean things, I understand that. And to say I've revealed myself for what I am, I don't toss the word around. It's not weak and pathetic. It exactly describes our situation. You say I'm banned. It appears you may have reconsidered that. I can still view videos and whatever, or comment boxes, so maybe. But if so, this VR is my response to that. But words do mean things, and statist precisely describes, and statists are in the government. If you want to use the word federalist, you can't even approach what the founders would have considered a federalist approach to what we currently have. And that was my last response there. So, MainePrepper, I've always appreciated your channel. I respect what you do. I've respected you. We've literally chewed some of the same dirt, if you will. I just think you're way off base in your description of Clive and Bundy and what's going on. And like I've said in videos before, and I'll continue to back it up here, this is the beginning of the situation we had in 1773 and 72 when the things were going on with the oppression of the British government. It is almost verbatim what was going on in the Declaration, and their redress of grievances that they were asking for from the King, we are having to go to Washington, D.C. and resist and fight against. It is, and it's 10 times worse now. As far as the degree of oppression on the people, it is an imposition of the police state, and I wish you would see that, and that's what was going on in Clive and Bundy's little corner of the world out here in Nevada. The federal government's ownership of our land is a big problem, and it does create disproportionality in the states. And we could discuss how BLM has been allowed to do this for so long, but I would digress if I did that. But needless to say, it has to do with political and money interest, and the power that was in hand when that came about. It was only in the interest of Eastern politicians and business to oppress the Western states and control their land for economic reasons. So of course it was easy to get through based upon their judgment. But that's a different conversation. So, please everybody, I put the link below for this video. Go check it out yourself. It's 40 minutes long. I know it's tough to get through it, but it's compared to most YouTube videos that are much more succinct and to the point, I guess. But it's definitely thought-provoking. So check out his video, and please comment if you think any of my comments were off base, or maybe I should have said it nicer. I don't know, but I think it was spot on. So y'all have a good day, YouTube. Live free.